First of all, I think your analysis was very straight line. History doesn't run in a straight line.
Kid, you cannot tell your neighbor he is stealing ducks when you are stealing funds.
As High Commissioner, I was wrong. As Charandas Prasad, I reacted naturally how any person would have.
I did not come here for that kind of abuse. I did not come here for that kind of abuse. If you're going to go down that road, I'll walk off.
But it's all okay once they're talking. If they were talking, I could not have been here today.
You got ADHD.
I got that.
Calm down.
I think I've done enough in terms of taking our team out of trouble from losing.
Come on, Lou Taylor. That's good. I'm reading the script now, and the first person that comes to my mind to play a detective,
Yes,
but
okay,
an
he's good.
erratic
Mikhail
detective is Mikhail Rodriguez.
Why an African slap an Indian? Why a man and slap a woman? Look, girl, how you deal with that? You deal with that.
We must encourage platforms like this because it brings together different people and allows for discussions to take place in our country on a multiplicity of fundamental issues.
Kingdom, you apologizing for something you think I did is wrong. I don't want you to do that, and you should not have done that. Hi there, good evening, good Wednesday evening to you from Georgetown in Queenstown, where we are recording this program. Wherever you are, this is the Freddie Kissoon Show with co-host Leonard Craig. This is the second program in a new format we have, and that is because we tried out the format once and we got a lot of response. Now, as you would know, if you use Facebook or you use social media, inbuilt into the system is the amount of views you get. So anyone could go on your program and see if you got 1,000 or 5,000. So we started this new format in which Leonard Craig and I would just discuss things that we want to. When we do the interview, we hardly get time to say what we want to say. So we give ourselves a program maybe once a month or once a week so we can say what we want to say. So this is our second program on the new format. If our operator is listening, the monitor is off. So if our operator is listening, the monitor is off. So welcome to the program once again. Welcome to Leonard Craig. He's co-hosting it. We don't have a guest. We will be chatting among ourselves. I want to start with an experience I had today, and then we will go on to different topics, beginning with Asha Kissoon. Anyone in the world, any human in the world would tell you, if you're repairing a road, if you're doing over a road, you do it in parts, so you would not, the whole road would not be blocked off, because if you block off the whole road, there is no way for people to go. Now, for anybody in Region 4 who knows Georgetown, the railway embankment is very important. That's where you get the Aquatic Center, you get Giffland, you get Movie Town, so many places. You use it to turn into UG, Civil Potter College, the Harirama Krishna head office. Now, the Ministry of Public Works closed off the railway embankment from the traffic lights at UG Road going east. So you cannot use that. It's closed off. They're widening the road. This is Christmas, so people will be inconvenient. No problem. You got to face a little inconvenience. They have closed off the railway embankment from the traffic light going west. I experienced it today that you couldn't You can't go east, you can't go west. So if you are coming from UG, if you're coming from Civil Potter College, if you're traveling on UG Road from Industry, Commons Lodge, where I live, you have to take UG Road. But remember, when you take UG Road, you cannot go west. When you take UG Road, you go west or you go east. You cannot go east or west from the railway embankment. Now, if everybody is using UG Road to get to the old highway, what you call the Rupert Craig Highway, it's commonsensical that will be a very, very long line, because you cannot use the railway embankment. So everybody using the UG Road to get east or to get west on the Atlantic Highway or the Rupert Craig Highway, it is simple. Do the part east of the traffic light. When that is finished, do the part west of the traffic light. So you cannot turn east, you cannot turn west on the railway embankment from UG Road. I am saying it, any human being in Guyana, if you ask them if that is sensible, they will tell you no. Complete the part from the traffic light going east. Complete that. And then you finish with that, and people could use that and make a detour if you're doing the western part. But how can you do both at the same time at Christmas season? If Mr. Jagdeo, the president, are listening to this, please intervene with the Ministry of Public Works and tell them to complete the eastern part at UG Road and then go over to the western part so people can be facilitated. The line on UG Road to get out of Turkine, Commons Lodge or Industry is enormously long, simply because you cannot use the railway embankment. I appeal once again to the president and the vice president. The president met these contractors and ministers and he spoke to them. Just send one of his attendants, or Mr. Jagdeo could send one of his attendants, and you can see if you're at UG, if you're in Civil Potter College, if you live in Commons Lodge, you cannot go east or west on the railway embankment. Do one part first. Man, Leonard, good night. Thanks for hosting the program. Does that make sense, Leonard?
I haven't seen it, but based on your description, one would think that public thoroughfare that's used by so many people and have so many entities which need to be accessed, then it sounds like common sense.
It sounds like it is common sense. Complete one part and let us use it, and then you close off the other part.
Yeah.
Go and see it. From UG traffic light eastward, close off. From UG traffic light going west, they're now doing the road there. 1 hour to get out. The high mark and those things are there. Anyway, Leonard, I tell you, go on. What?
Today we free farming more or less, and we have on our list a number of things to do. And we indicated that we will discuss the Asher Kissoon issue first.
Yeah, the Asher Kissoon issue is a national disgrace, man.
I don't understand why. In Guyana, we have a culture of blaming older politicians.
Oh yeah, I want to talk about that.
The ills of Guyana. We sometimes have that in our culture. You know, is some of these old people from the 1970s and the 1960s corrupting the politics and the young people not getting an opportunity. And when you give some young people an opportunity, they behave worse than the people we think we want to depose.
Yeah, if she was 65 or 70, you could understand a young woman behaving like that.
Is she 30 yet even?
I don't know. She must be already 30.
I'm not sure of her age, but she's fairly young, and she would fit squarely in Generation Y. No, Generation Z, in fact. And for me, her sojourn in Parliament is just immoral. You've had an agreement with the other parties. You've gotten under 300 votes in the large
240.
In fact, under 250 votes. And for 250 votes, you were given what, a 3-month period to serve.
Yeah.
Serve, see what Parliament is like, work
It's
hard.
coming on to 2 years now.
Yeah, work hard, come back, regroup, be part of another, join the agreement in the future so that you can, be part of a future Parliament and things like that. It for me, this leaves a bad taste in the mouth. I am thinking if I were in Parliament, I may have refused to sit anytime she is presiding or speaking, regardless of which side I was on, whether I was on the government or opposition side. When she stands to her feet, I would leave. Or if she's presiding, if she's a deputy speaker presiding as the speaker, I'm not sitting in there. And at some point, I think basic decency need to enter politics, and that is just plain wrong. 240 votes in a proportional representation system is just nothing. It's just nothing. Not even a month of Parliament. Not even a 1/10 of a seat, and then you have the opportunity just to show several things, just to show that political cooperation is possible at every level, just to show that you just came out of a government where the larger party dominated the smaller one to the detriment of the coalition of the group of itself, and you needed to show greater effort that small parties can cooperate and work together, and I can't understand it. I mean, even if she had pushed that time from 3 months to 6 months or something like that, or she tried to negotiate a longer stay and show why her stay will benefit the joinder arrangement and all of that. Possibly, that could be countenance, but just sitting there, not making a stand, not saying anything, just occupying the seat is immoral in my view.
But you know what is wrong about it? She took the principled nature of Leonard Kissoon. Mm-hmm. She took the decency of Leonard Kissoon. She took the non-power mentality of Leonard Kissoon and used it in the
corrupted it.
Because Leonard Kissoon said, "It's 3 of us. Mm-hmm. I served my time. I gone."
Yeah.
So that is like the policeman giving you a chance. You went through the red light and the policeman gave you a chance and say, "Okay, don't do it again." And you tell the policeman, "You should have ignored I went through the red light, man. Who the hell are you?" Mm-hmm. You take the man's generosity and you abuse it. Now, No one, no one should bring in the PNC, the PPP, the Speaker of the National Assembly, GCOM. If you want for academic reasons, you can discuss whether they are right or wrong. The PPP and the PNC have nothing to do with it. They have absolutely nothing to do with it. You could say to them, man, Mr. Norton, man, Mr. Jagdo, what do you think about this Asha Kissoon thing? They did not put her there. They're not responsible for her being there. They have no blame. Even if the National Assembly Speaker is right and it is right, even if GCOM is in its right, that is not the issue. The issue is Asha Kissoon and what she has done to third-party politics and the non-example she showed young people. These three parties got together and say, we will rotate this thing. Schumann got 2,600, Anu got 2,300, you got 240. But we'll give you a chance to sit in parliament. How you could take 240 votes and deny the people who voted for Anug of 2,300. Now, you could say to Anug, man, give me a year, man, and you can get another year, you know? But to sit there and then in today's papers, today's paper, Wednesday, she said, Wednesday the 12th, she said to the Starbuck News, I am constitutional legally there. But that is not the point. I don't know if she's constitutional legally there. But let us say we're willing to say, yes, the Speaker can't move you, GCOM can't move you. What about the arrangement between Anug herself and Leonard Schumann that we go rotate this thing? And why she feels that LJP get 2 years and she can take the 3 years. What happened to Anug? I think any human would see that as repugnant, despicable, and utterly horrible of a human being to do that.
What I would want to think, though, based on it sounds like you're willing to give GCOM a pass, which I am not.
Well, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
But GCOM made their own statement that it is a mistake that she is there and is the party with the largest of the joiners, the party with the largest number of votes, which should be Schumann's party, LJP. GCOM, having declared that, should kick Schumann into action. And Schumann should probably, because it therefore means then that the list from which he resigned is the ranking list and the list from which somebody should be extracted. So Schumann should be kicked into action to write the speaker and say, I or our party...
Based on GCOM's ruling, yeah.
Based on GCOM's ruling, this party is legally the party to nominate somebody, and we want to assert that right. And they should write that to GCOM, copy it to the speaker, and recall whomever is sitting there. And then they should go ahead and appoint somebody from their list, because that seemed to be the ranking legal opinion right now. I have not,
of GCOM's lawyer.
Right, but I have not heard any contradiction to what GCOM's lawyer said by anybody, not even Nigel Hughes or the Attorney General has not contradicted that. So it therefore means then that is the ranking opinion, generally speaking, probably until a court of law says otherwise. And so I believe that the leader of the list of Schumann's party, I don't think it's Schumann himself, it's somebody else. The leader of that list should exercise that or you know, should go ahead and get that done. I think burden is on them to do that.
But I wonder how anyone in a political party could just see what Miss Kissoon is doing and not say to her, you are disgracing yourself. The other aspect of what Dr. Kissoon has done is that she has really, really pulled a piece of history from Guyana and has destroyed it. And I'm talking about Alethea King from Monkey Mountain. I know the society, I study it, and I cannot recall anyone from Monkey Mountain that has risen to prominence. I may be wrong, that this doctor, this lawyer, this UG lecturer, this headmaster from Queen's College or St. Stanislaus, this civil engineer, this person from who's ruling second in charge of the army or a big officer in the army, the police. I don't think anyone from Monkey Mountain has risen to that prominence. And a young poor girl grew up poor in Monkey Mountain was the Anuk designate to replace Miss Kissoon, Alethea King. Now, do you know what that would have done to Monkey Mountain? Do you know what that would have done to the people of Monkey Mountain? One of their own became a parliamentarian. And if Miss Dr. Kissoon is listening, this lady she told me she'll be leaving the country. Please resign and let Miss King have a 6 months in parliament, and so it will go down in history that Monkey Mountain produced a parliamentarian. It's not that she left there from a baby. All her siblings are there, her parents are there. She left there when she was a teenager. I mean, how could Dr. Kissoon do this to Miss Peters, Miss King, Alicia? How could she do that? You know, I think that is the most heartbreaking part of it. That woman would put Monkey Mountain on the map.
The other thing though, that what Asha Kissoon has done is reduce people's trust in politics and politicians. Because if you come from such a small, minuscule entity that could only amass 200 and something votes, and you are also participating in some of the stuff that people want to get rid of in politics, the untrustworthiness and that kind of thing. I mean, what kind of hope do people then have in, you know, the future of politics? What kind of hope do young people have in you know, trust of leadership and all of that? So what she has done is expand people's suspicion of politics, politicians, and so on. And that will not stop at her. People's suspicion of the entire opposition will grow. People's suspicion of the government will also grow. And I don't believe that is the country we want to build.
I find this lady to be one of the most unacceptable humans this country has produced. It's not that the lady is saying, listen, I am going to take the time. I'm sorry about Anug. I apologize to Anug, but I have some plans that would help this country, and I want to stay in Parliament for the 2.5 years. And when I do, all the accusations against me will disappear because I'm contributing to constitutional changes, the legal edifice of Guyana, and people will benefit. So just bear up with me. She has said nothing. And then the media asked her, and she told the media, I am legally, rightfully there, missing or obfuscating entirely the moral arrangement she made, and evading the generosity and the principal political culture of Leonard Schumann. You know, it's the pathological barefacedness that she was interviewed. Give in the interview, use the opportunity to say, well, listen, I know people are criticizing me, they are wrong. I have things to do that will benefit Guyana.
Yeah.
Please bear up with me.
Probably outline a vision.
Yeah.
Even mentioned similar to you remember Carrington's bill. Even if she had a bill to bring to the parliament, whether it passes or not, that is not the point. Is that you're working on these things, and this is what I'm attempting. This is what, but she's just sitting there on the seat, squatting and literally doing nothing. No attempt at a reformation of anything or what the case might be. No.
It's an extraordinarily terrible case. Leonard Craig,
it's something really that shouldn't happen in our politics, and I hope she finds the decency at some point. I hope she redeems find some form of redeemable quality in herself and just vacate the seat.
Leonard Craig, I don't think there's anyone in any political party in this country. I don't think there's anyone in a business entity like the Private Sector Commission. I don't think there's any academic, whether in UG or out of UG, that would sit down on a table like this and say, Miss Dr. Kissoon is, she could be justified in staying in Parliament. What one and two people have argued is that the lady is legally there, but they don't discuss the covenant she made with Mr. Ramkaran of Anung and Leonard Schumann of the Liberty and Justice Party. They don't deal with that because you know why? The human being ultimately is a decent moral person, and no Guyanese is going to sit down in front of a television camera or in front of a public audience and justify what Dr. Kissoon is doing. And I wonder if she's seeing this. I wonder if she's saying, well, look, the Vice President said there's not the PPP's concern. GCOM is deliberating it. The Speaker said that he hasn't got the power to remove. I wonder if she's seeing that nobody's saying, but Mrs. Kissoon Dr. Kissoon has a right to be there, man. Leave the lady alone. Nobody's saying that. Before we move off this topic, I come from excruciating poverty in Wortmanville. Absolutely. Days you get nothing to eat. I don't want to describe my poverty, but it was bad. And I have made Wortmanville proud. When people talk about Wortmanville, they talk about me, Vincent Alexander, Minister Kenneth Denny, who became Minister of Labour. Wortmanville produced a couple of people. I'm sure Leonard Craig knows that his village produced himself. Everybody knows Craig now. He writes for the Chronicle. He was a big one in the AP and UFC government. And Amanzo Walton Desire, I think, comes from your village. Your village I mean, Dr. Kissoon, please give Alethea King an opportunity even for 4 months to put Monkey Mountain on the map. Please, please, next week or the coming weeks, demit your seat in Parliament and let Miss King have an experience in Parliament. It will help her in whatever she would be interacting with some of the famous, powerful names in this country. She will be meeting Mr. Jack Dio, who is a president for more than 11 years. She'll be meeting Aubrey Norton, iconic PNC. She'll be talking to Dr. Ashni Singh. She'll be meeting one of the brightest lawyers the Caribbean produced, Anil Nandal. So give the woman a chance to mix with the creme de la creme of political society and society in general. Dr. Kissoon, give Miss King an opportunity to sit in Parliament, and with the budget coming up, she can see how those fine minds in the political parties debate. Please do that. On behalf of Leonard Craig, we are appealing to you. Give Miss King a chance. Let's move on.
Yeah, well, you're up.
I wanted to look at Leonard Craig. He's a columnist for the Monday columnist for the Guyana Chronicle. I would suggest, I have known Leonard Craig a long time. I've taught him at Eugene. I would think he has a fine analytical mind. And whichever party he gravitates to, it will be an asset. I can speak for that. I've known him a long time. We functioned together in the AFC and People's Parliament, the grassroots movement from 2012. Now, I want to read what Leonard said. It is called a Jambi lash. When you put a Jambi lash on someone, they do not recover. So I don't think Raphael Chotman will recover, but this is a Jambi lash. Listen to Leonard Craig writing about the evil, the disaster, my words, that the AFC did to this country. I'm writing him now. I'm quoting him now. Former AFC Minister Raphael Chotman's book, From Destiny to Prosperity, provides a remarkable and unmistakable insight into the political propensity and demeanor of the top leadership of the AFC. In his chapter, Becoming a Minister, he wrote expressively of his own achievements and boasted about a raft of international travels, but not even a cursory reference to activists, either individually or as a group, who labored and endured hostilities and sleepless nights to help him on the journey to becoming a minister. This is Leonard saying, in his Chotman in his book, talk about all the travels, the wonderful things he achieved in politics, and not about the boys and girls who sleepless night climbing up, climbing up on those lantern posts and putting up sticker, going in the sun and shaving out flyers. And I saw what they did. So this is a Jambi lash. Do you think Chotman gonna recover?
I wouldn't use those terms.
Well, I use it. It's a Jambi lash.
Those are your terms.
You come from Georgetown. In Georgetown, I grew up in that lingo.
No, we use that across Guyana because we use that.
You know about Jambi lash?
Yeah, but I wouldn't use the term in this case. I think it was a simple analysis of why the AFC's decline was so rapid and why, even while in government, AFC was beginning to lose currency. And one of the reasons is, and it's the same reason why APNU threw them to the wolves in 2018 at the local government election. Because, and every word I wrote in that article is true, every single word. I challenge anybody to dispute
except
anything.
for a few.
Even the people
every word.
to whom
Not
every
most.
single word that I wrote is true. It's an analysis of why AFC found itself in the position, especially at the 2018 local government election. There were lots of rumors. During the time, I saw a lot of things on Facebook and all of that. And I think a lot of it was never corrected. People were saying that AFC went to APNU and demanded more. It was nothing like that. APNU became skeptical of the AFC's contribution at the local level. And the reason for that is because the top leaders of the AFC just did not care about the second tier and rank and file activists. And I can tell you, when and that trend was seen as soon as 2015 the election was won. When the election was won in 2015, and the names of the regional councillors and so on were thing, and they were appointed, I went from during when councillors were sworn in and so on. I think I went to like about 3 or 4 of the regions at the time of the swearing in, and not a single at those swearing in ceremony. You had senior PPP leaders, you had senior PNC APNU leaders. They're supporting ministers at the time. Then were APNU and PNC. People who were ministers were there supporting the lower tier people. There was nobody from the AFC. They didn't even bother to visit. None of them. I'm challenging any one of them to say they were at this swearing in ceremony of any of the RDC councillors. And I think we had 2 or 3 vice chairs. They weren't there. And I'm saying they weren't concerned. They were just concerned that, hey, look, we won, we took up office, and that was the almost the end of the election victory for them. They're in office, that's it. And then when 2016 came around, and you had to participate in local government election, not a single one of them came out and supported the people who were running for the council, not even in Georgetown. They spoke not at a single public meeting. They were just a no-show, no support, none whatsoever. Not even financial support thing. I remember Sherrod Duncan was running. He was prominent at the time as he was running around with his green suit, calling himself Mr. Clean, and he was receiving some Facebook hits. And if he wants to speak, can tell you that he got no support, even when he got on the council and he found himself fighting against APNU on the parking meter issue. He got no support. And when the AFC was forced to support him, the statement AFC made, Kemra Dramjitan said, Sherrod Duncan speaks for us. And that was it. And I'm challenging anybody to dispute these things. And again, I'm saying to you, Freddie, I am not going to talk about or release anything from inside of the AFC that I consider to be proprietary AFC information. I believe that AFC is entitled to that information as a party, but the publicly observable things I am going to talk about, and I'm going to evaluate, and I'm going to write about it so that people understand.
No, you're splitting. I think someone versed in deconstruction and someone versed in the hidden meaning in a text can take you to task, especially a legal mind. What was taking place in the AFC when it was in power? I think it could be argued that that material is of public interest. You see, what you're doing, you are knocking out the status of the AFC at that time when they were discussing these things, and you have them on flash drive or what have you. But these things that they were discussing have relevance to history relevance to the acquisition of knowledge of the present generation. I'll give you one example and then you could come in. At a virtual meeting of the AFC, not only with the executive present, but the wider membership, I think some second-tier leaders were on the thing, because I saw it on, two of them showed me on their Facebook. An AFC leader debating the election disaster as it went on was so frustrated that APNU AFC looked like they're going to lose, because this person wanted to say, no, we won, end the story. You don't want with this and that, we can't, this. And that person said on the virtual meeting, I am so fed up with what's going on in this country. It's best we partition. We have an African Guyana and an Eastern Guyana. I think that information, whoever has access to it, it's important to Guyana. It's called, we could use it in truth and reconciliation, but
yeah, but that
you can't.
No, that you're referring to is a different level of a Truth and Reconciliation Commission is a different level of revelation than if you are analyzing a political situation. Because what I'm trying to do then, these are things that people saw, but they may not have known or put it together quite that way. And I am assisting, but if I were part of a meeting or part of a deliberation or something like that, I don't think it is my place, at least not now, probably in the at some other later time when you can review history and things like that. But as it's ongoing, I think it is AFC's as a party, as a management committee, as a executive committee. It is their right to retain and protect that information, and not because I'm no longer part of that that body or the party, I should, so what I'm saying here are things that people would have seen publicly, right? These are publicly available things. I'm just giving it context. What I wrote about Trotman is there in his book for everybody to see. I just bring it together as a thought process. And people, the name of my column is What You Make of It. You can read it and make something else of it. You can go to Trotman's book, read it, and you can come up with something else. But I have a certain trend of thought, and I'm sharing that. It's publicly available there, and that is the kind of analysis I, generally speaking, wish to make. And just to complete the thought on the 2018 local government election, because the leadership of the AFC did not participate in the growth and development of the RDC councillors, they did not participate in the growth and development and in the elections of 2016, the APNU people saw that. Some of them probably didn't understand that. They just saw that AFC's participation and energy and everything is down, and they thought that it is an official AFC thing that we are going to leech off of APNU. And not the leaders so much, but the rank and file activists of the APNU were extremely mad, because a lot of the seats they thought that they should have, they worked long and hard, and this AFC person just come and end up in this position and things like that. And so when 2018 came around, APNU say, look, don't call us for any agreement. We ain't getting into no agreement whatsoever about sharing seats and all of that. put your people together with our people. We are going to appoint area coordinators or whatever the case is. We are going to observe how hard these people work and contribute to the electoral process, and they will get appointed normally like everybody else. So what happened then is that the rank and file AFC people didn't feel that their leaders are speaking up for them, their leaders are concerned about them, and so on, and they preferred at the time to take matters into their own hands, so to speak, right? Be responsible for their own campaign, their own destiny, they win or lose, seat or no seat. They prefer to think. And the second aspect of that, they're saying because APNUs is the larger grouping and more powerful grouping, if they just go and work, their work might not be recognized. And so it was like being caught between not trusting their leaders and not trusting the leaders on the other side either. And so they decided, okay, let's put a shoulder to the wheel and run the 2018 local government election as a entity AFC. And
they did badly though.
Yeah. I wouldn't say so. And here's why. I think AFC did reasonably well, and let me explain why I say that. Remember, AFC is a small third party, and AFC does not have mass support anywhere in Guyana. Not in Georgetown, not in Linden, not in Berbice, not in Essequibo, not in Region 6, not in Region 5. They don't have mass support anyway. What AFC has is pockets of support everywhere in Guyana, whether it's in PPP stronghold, PNC stronghold, whatever. So when you look at election results, when AFC contests by themselves, even in some areas where, there are some strong PNC support areas where 100 people vote and 98 votes for the PNC and 2 votes for the PPP, and those 2 votes came from the 2 GCOM workers, or something like that, maybe most likely. And the reverse is also true in some PPP areas.
GCOM workers.
No, so in some cases, GCOM workers have to vote where they work. Oh. They can't go and vote at another place and then, right? And so sometimes, as we know in Guyana, not always true, but largely race is an indication of where you cast your ballot. That has been the history largely in Guyana. And, sometimes you might be wrong, but you can, devise that. But beyond that, so what I'm saying, the reverse is also true. In many PPP strongholds, 100 people go listed as having voted, 98 normally. When the AFC participate, where it used to be 98 from 100, it gone down to 80 something because AFC pick up 10 votes there, and then they pick up 8 over there, 20 over there. And, in some places, some of the riverine areas, for example, where either APNU or PNC used to get a lot of votes, the AFC used to get like 60-something% of the votes. But there are small communities, just 20-something votes, AFC would have gotten maybe 10 or so on.
When you think this analysis that Nigerians promised about what went wrong, when you think that's coming, we're into Christmas, Parliament will be recessed, then we go into a budget, and then it's election mode. If election is in November, Parliament is prorogued for 3 months before. So people don't have time for academic analysis. It's campaign. So when is this thing coming?
No, I think it was not even wise for Nigelius to promise an analysis. I don't even think it was wise for him to have done that, because he created an expectation that the AFC, I'm not sure the AFC can or would want to fulfill. Nigelius probably should have dealt with that issue frontally. And probably he has also plausible deniability in that he was not involved. People came to him for advice and he gave his advice and what have you. And he could have said that, look, from my observation, the AFC has not done a review as far as I know. From my observation, I think these things, those things, or were not of the best, what have you. This is new leadership, whatever, we're ready to move on. Something.
But what I don't understand with him, Nigelius is someone I've known a long time and is not a person with a mediocre analytical mind. He could sit down on this table and he could analyze things very plausibly. He must know that when he took over that leadership and you have him as leader, deputy leader is an African Guyanese. Next in line is an African Guyanese. Next in line is an African Guyanese. He must know, no man, you have to have a Indian got to be next to the leader or third in line.
Okay.
But,
no.
I mean,
okay. And this goes back, Freddie, to the same issues I raised in the article. AFC never spent
in case people
time.
don't know that, go on the Chronicle and get it. What do you make of it? John B. Lashes, Craig put Panam, the AFC.
Yeah.
It's the Monday, December the 9th column.
So as I'm saying, that AFC never spent time mentoring or developing their second tier. And again, I'm challenging any leader to say which of the second tier executives they nurtured or they mentored or what have you. It was a free fall.
They can't go into an election with Nigelius as presidential candidate.
Well, the
David Patterson as presidential. When you look at the names, look, they met Anouk. They met Anouk because Anouk is meeting on there was Nigelius, Cathy Hughes, David Patterson. But he's not in the But I don't understand why Kemraj and Nigel and don't sit down and say, listen, Nigel, you're coming as leader, you as leader, Kemraj is deputy leader. I mean, there was talk that
I believe
Gerhard Ramsarup may be the prime ministerial candidate. But he's out too long. He's out to Guyana too long.
I've not heard that, but as I'm saying to you, is that the AFC cupboard is bare. And that is why you end up, even though some of the leaders of the AFC should or want to move on, they cannot, because they spent no time whatsoever investing in a second crop of leaders who they can fit into places. They spent, especially those 5 years in government, they spent it fortifying themselves. And I don't know why they did that. During the time in government, I kept asking them to behave differently. I kept probing them, but what I got is resistance and to some extent enemies. But if they had done that, especially during the 5 years in government, develop new leadership, But
I heard from people, Gerhard Ramsarup, Virginia Besessar, Imran Khan. Those are three high-profile Indians who spoke to me. And it seems like because Kemraj was the big, iconic Indian, he was afraid of the AFC nurturing someone to come up and have a charismatic placement. And I was told by all three of those Indians that he was just aggressive to them. He was just cutting them down. And I know Gerhard Ramsarup was almost up there in terms of stature with Ramjatan. People had liked him. Maybe it's a white thing.
Perhaps. I am not ready to share those exact sentiments, but yeah. No, I can't think of any young person who was coming up, who was just outside of the leadership of the AFC, who was welcomed into, that family.
Yeah, but I knew that they were chopping down people. For example, this senior leadership was very annoyed, extremely livid, that Marlon Williams had the courage to contest the General Secretary position of David Patterson and won. And from the time Marlon Williams won that thing, they were consistently out to get him. I remember they didn't know, the leadership didn't know that there was a big name in the AFC diaspora that was stable in a no confidence motion in Marlon Williams. So he ran this thing by me, and I said, no, don't do that. Give the young man a chance. He just come up, because I think they were using this guy in New York to table a motion of no confidence in Marlon Williams. They just didn't want any second tier. And I think you, Marlon Williams, they chopped down Gerhard Ramsey very early. In fact, do you know, Gerhard told me this. Gerhard told me he first raised the question of a joint thing with the PNC and AFC. And he said when he raised it, they were livid with him. And he said Nigel Hughes was one of them who told him, you have any, the party give you permission to raise these issues with Granger or what have you. So it seemed that they didn't want that second tier leadership. And that is the big difference with the PPP.
Yeah.
A lot of those PPP people, I grew up with Ramatal in the PPP, I know all of them. Those people go out of their way. The PPP leadership go out of their way in the villages when they meet these people, man, come.
So that is the malady that affects the AFC now. So when they're looking for new leaders and they push their hand in the cupboard, they're coming up bare. You're coming up without anything. There's nothing in the cupboard. And that is why you see this election are gone. Sherrod Duncan tried to stage a literal leadership revolt, had his own slate and thing of young people. And it is the same mentality. They did not trust that these people could take over the party. I think they weren't ready. But not that they weren't ready off of their own capacity. They weren't ready because they weren't given the opportunity. You can't let Sherrod Duncan lead an AFC that want to resurge. Sherrod Duncan has never done any major, be in any major meeting where negotiate. A leader of a party need to have some amount of national respect to negotiate on behalf of the party. And Sherrod Duncan has not, done much, international
but I think Sherrod Duncan is a fool, and a big fool not to, when he entered when he knew he had the intention of entering the race, not to look back at Guyanese history and see he was following in a disastrous footstep. People are multidimensional. They like when you in the trench say 5% can't walk, 10% can't walk, but 100% could walk. And you're there in the trench, and then you're there drinking Marby, everything, and you get into a fight. They like those street fighters. But they don't want those street fighters to be their leaders. Right. You imagine Sherrod Duncan against the iconic Nigel Hughes. Any African who support the PNC and support AFC would choose Hughes in front of Duncan.
Yeah.
So I was surprised that he started to this social media thing and cussing up people and abusing up people. It didn't work with Green. It didn't work with Odinga Lumumba. It didn't work with Aubrey Norton. It will not work. Especially if you have this suave university professor, this well-known former journalist, this extravagantly generous doctor in the village, right, that everybody knows he's tend to the village patient, you're going to lose out.
Yeah, and so basically, that's as I said, that's what's affecting the AFC. There are some leaders who are still in the leadership who wanted to take, but they can't. They can't. Who they're going to hand over the party to? They have spent. And that is what I talked about the last time you were here, the political dividend. There's no dividend to extract from your investment because you didn't invest anything in these people. Now you want some dividend from it, and there's nothing to get because your investment is not there.
But what is Nigel hoping to achieve? I think Nigel, because let me face it, he's a name in Guyana.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to take seats from Aubrey. He's not going to take seats from the PPP. If he don't, based on what Kian Jabur and Timothy Jonas and his wife do, Anouk may even take some seats from AFC. They're appealing to the same middle class constituency. But I think what Nigel is going to do, he's going to get at least a seat from the mulatto Creole class who don't want Indians run this government, who don't like the PPP. Those are the Portuguese, the red people who, it's Nigel's people. And he may get a few other votes. But I would like to...
Okay, let me put it this way. AFC, from my knowledge, still has a machinery. They still have little groups in the regions. Usually that counts for something. These people are going to go out. There are people in the villages who like them and people in the villages who... And that usually counts for something. And again, I'm saying the 5 votes, 6 votes, 4 votes, 3 votes, 10 votes are going to add up. And in a proportional representation system, it might add up to seats. As you said, Aubrey Norton is extremely weak. Nigel is coming over to be strong, but they are dipping from the same bag as it is right now. And as you said, I think at least in the 2025 election, the PPP's position is safe.
Yeah.
Not that they don't have to do anything to protect it, but basically it is protecting their turf. That is what they have to do. And it is their turf to lose. But most of their work have to do with protecting. The PNC and the AFC combined, they're going to lose some grounds to the PPP. And I believe also Nigel is going to appeal to some of the people who traditionally support the PNC. The biggest loser is going to be the PNC, in my opinion.
We got to go on that though. The operator told me our time is up. There are a couple of things, not couple, a couple is two. There are many things we did not discuss. So this is a new format where you and I will be giving our opinions. We had good viewership, so we will continue with it. People want this kind of thing. You're an academic. You did your PhD at Harbin Institute of China, and it's not in medicine or science. So we are, both of us are social scientists, and we analyze the political landscape of Guyana. So we will continue with this format. There are there are a few things we were supposed to discuss. There's a new aberration coming in Guyana. People playing their music very, very loud. It's dangerous. We should nip that thing in the bud. There are other things we have to talk about. Road accidents, how people behave. Other things, a little shifting a little bit from politics. Where are the people who are clamoring for us to leave the oil in the ground? Those are some of the things when we meet out to our third edition of this format. Thanks for being with us. We will see you on Friday with our call-in. Leonard would not be here to do our call-in. But this is one of the new formats of the Freddie Kissoon Show, in which the two co-hosts will give their analyses, assessments, adumbrations about the sociology, politics, and economics of Guyana. Leonard Craig is trained at the PhD level in economics. So we will see you Friday in the call-in. On behalf of Leonard Craig, catch you later, man. Bye-bye.